Do you understand, like I say this all the time, how idiotic it is for a man to choose service to his family day in and day out? Because one of the things about women in the workforce, like he says, and this is one of the things we have to discuss with women about money. It is extremely rare that throughout the course of a relationship or marriage that a woman can out earn her husband. He will work extremely close to the day he dies. Extremely close to that date of his death, he will be working. Women don't do that. They cannot match our work ethic. You want more proof? Millions more women are in the workforce in the United States than men are because we are the more incarcerated group of people. And yet they cannot outwork us in number of total hours worked. Isn't that something? They can't outwork us. Our service to this community and to this world is so great that even though they outnumber us by millions, they cannot put in as much work by the hour as we can. But that's all I got for now. Let's get anybody else in there that want to jump in. Please feel
Yeah, I
free.
wanted to jump in, man. I definitely think Sir Hale and Trigger Mike, I think that y'all hit it directly on the head. When he first started talking about service, from one perspective, I could kind of understand what he was saying, because again, like Trigger Mike was saying, a man serves by default. But I think where he kind of got it twisted is, for me, I feel as though a man is to serve God or his purpose. Like that's what a man's job is, to serve. And like Trigger Mike said, he described the wife because the woman's purpose is to serve her husband. So when I hear him sitting there in front of his wife saying, talking about how much he serves, but not really mentioning how much she serves, and then I hear him talking about like paying all the bills, which is his responsibility, but the way he's saying is like, oh well, she gets money too, and it's somehow a flex that she's getting money and not contributing to the household. Like what it really sounds like is like, it don't sound like you're paying all the bills because you're that guy. It sounds like you're paying all the bills because your woman would have it no other way. That's the position she put you in. She put you in the position of, nigga, you're gonna pay these bills and I'm gonna work and get my own bag, and there's nothing you can do or say about it. And I think it's completely apparent when you hear how he speaks about it, how he references the entire situation. So to me, as soon as he got past a couple sentences, it screamed simping to me. And I think he was self-aware of that, because I think he had to mention simping because he knows that that's what it gives off when he speaks. And so he figured, let me just mention simping in advance so that I could like redirect the conversation away from the fact I'm simping. But it is what it is. He was simping, and you can tell that his wife runs him in his pockets. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
All right, so let me
Go ahead,
chime
bro.
in. So, as men, it is important to understand each man reserve the right to run his marriage how he see fit. I mean, it's not a one size fit all. How can we expect man to run their household using specific methods or principles or beliefs when we as men are divided? We don't have any standard. So how can we even give any critique when there's nothing we can go to get any guidance? So I praise any man who has control over his marriage, even if it don't necessarily align with how I control my marriage. Because to be honest, we need more men to be married and to be happy in marriages. And if that's his system, then that's just his system. I don't think any man that loves his wife and his family and is actually putting the work in and getting results is a simp. I think you're a king.
I was gonna
I
say,
disagree, and
I'm
I'm going
about
to
to
tell you
say,
why.
somebody go
You
first because
so,
I'm gonna
so
verbally
Bruce,
flat bruiser in a second. Go ahead. Go ahead,
so
sir.
Bruce is not entirely wrong, and I understand where he's coming from. But here's the danger. You know that because you have context. Young men who don't have, you say we don't have a standard. So young men who don't have that standard, who don't have a base, but who have been trained to grow up and be a good man to a woman, right? He grows up and he takes what he said and he lives his entire life thinking that he must work, provide, serve, and get nothing in return. And that is the meaning of being a married man. That's the meaning of your purpose. And you see those kind of men live miserably. And then here's what happens. That miserable man gives advice, and we create more miserable men because we didn't teach them what to expect out of their wives. So what you're saying is true if you have context in order to chew the meat and spit out the bones. The issue is so many young men don't have enough life experience to know how to hear that, take that into context. They take it literally, and they orient their entire lives to please a woman who will eventually get tired of him because she has nothing to follow. He's catering and he has submitted himself to her instead of requiring her to do that for him.
But that's not what he said. That's not what he said. He didn't
No,
say.
I didn't. You missed it. I didn't say he said that. I said young men who don't have that standard would interpret that because they don't have context to chew out the meat and spit out the bones.
No, I agree. But what I'm saying is because the conversation is surrounded by what this man, the video that we just watched, and Bruiser was absolutely right. That man's running this house the way he's going to run it. And even if he did come out and give advice, he didn't come out and say a man should serve his wife and get nothing in return. And as a matter of fact, and I think it's a problem for us to look at it that way, considering the fact that there's probably a lot of context, considering the fact that he's on this platform. He's been on this platform for a while now. He's been married for a while. So for us to look at that situation and say that, oh, well, he must be that he's simping, I don't think he's simping to so to speak. I think he's speaking about his personal situation with his wife and how he and his own thoughts and beliefs. Now, granted, I do believe that there was a pocket where he got into where I was like, hold on, bro, where he was like, oh, well, my wife is free to do whatever the heck she want to do. I don't think that he truly believes that in all actuality, because there's definitely a lot of control that he's going to have in his marriage. Like, you ain't going to let your wife just go off and do whatever the hell she want to do.
But wait, it's working for him, Sweeney. In one breath you say it's okay, the next breath you saying, well,
you can agree with one part of somebody said and not agree with the other part.
But then you said that
not if they contradict each other.
you literally said, well, I think this is what he meant, instead of taking what he said.
Listen, this guy is pandering.
So let me.
All right.
Go
ahead. My bad, humble dad. Get in there. He
may be pandering. I don't know, right? But a part of what he said is actually true if you're a follower of Christ, right? We are supposed to, like when Adam was in the garden, he was serving the land. When Eve came aboard, she was designed to be his helpmeet, but he also still served her, right? So there's elements of which your wife need you to serve her. And that's the part of what Sir Hale was trying to say, where there's a missing context because of how he is deliberating, and especially how the clip was cut up, right? There are some pieces that are missing. And even to Bruiser's point, yes, it's his marriage. However, he is putting it, he is putting it on display to say, this is what it works for me. He did say that. Now, this is what works for us. Now, I give him that point. However, he is trying to display what works for him on a particular platform, which would go out to the masses, right? So I'm saying he had an element that was right, which is they supposed to serve each other, right? But he didn't say that element. He said what he could have said, what I would have liked.
He implied that it's not even important.
Correct. He did. Well, so what I would have liked, I'm gonna finish. Give me like 20 seconds, and I think this is what he missed. I serve my wife; she serves me as well. In our relationship, the way that we have put it together, I take care of all of the bills. And so we've made it to where if she has her own money and she can spend it however she decides to do so, right? So that provides the context of that they both are serving each other. It's just that they have made a point in saying that her money is going to be hers. I disagree with that point because that doesn't make sense because you're trying to build together, and a part of what she is accumulating is supposed to help y'all build together.